Hi everyone, and welcome back to the PCM Integrations How-To series. In this video, within our Salesforce integration, I'm going to be showing you how to set up an automated flow trigger. This flow trigger will automatically send direct mail to a record whenever I update its status within Salesforce. This video is for users that have already installed and set up the Postcard Mania Salesforce app. So if you're interested in automated direct mail within Salesforce and don't know where to start, visit PCMintegrations.com. The first step for setting up this flow will be ensuring that you've created the design that you want for the specific record status update that will trigger the flow. For this video, I'm going to be working with leads, and I've already created the design I want to send out. To get all the relevant information I need on this design, I'm going to navigate to the My Designs tab in the Postcard Mania Salesforce integration. From here, I'm going to navigate to my most recent design URL. I'm going to scroll down to Designed Layouts and note Flow Lead Face Card. That is the name of the design that I want to send when my lead changes status within Salesforce. Next, I'm going to show you guys what this postcard looks like. And to do that, I'm going to click on the Leads tab, navigate to a random lead, click Send Postcard on the right, select my design, Flow Lead Face Card, and then click Design Proof. This will bring up an example of the design I'll be using for this flow trigger. As you can see, I have variable data here. Thank you for your time, John. It's set up as a generic face card for myself and for Postcard Mania. We can navigate to the back of the card and see similarly it's set up to send to John Doe and has all of my information as well as Postcard Mania's information. This looks pretty good to me, but if you are still left with questions about how to set up these designs, we have created 3 or 4 videos that highlight the functionality of our design editor as well as how to set up designs within our Salesforce application. Everything from using templates to how to upload your own designs to the basics of our design editor, as well as more advanced features like using variable data. We have videos for you. You'll find the links to them in the description. Now that we've sorted out and verified the design we want to use for this flow, I'm going to exit out of this design proof, exit out of this Send Postcard panel, click on the gear icon in the top right, and then click on Setup. This is where we're going to set up our flow. Once this loads, in the Quick Find text box on the left-hand side, we're going to type in flow, click on Flows under Process Automation, which should bring up a list of all your flows, whether they are active or not. On the top right, we're going to click on New Flow. This should open a new tab and then a selection box where you can pick the type of flow you want to create. We're going to create a record-triggered flow because we want the flow to launch when we change the status of a particular record in Salesforce. Once that's selected, you can click the Create button on the bottom right. This will launch the Flow Builder where you'll actually set up the details of the flow. A flow in Salesforce is composed of 2 parts. First, there is the trigger, which are a set of conditions that, when met, will trigger the launch of the flow. Next, there are the elements of the flow. This is what occurs after the trigger criteria are met. There are different types of elements within Salesforce, but for this video, we're going to be using one called an action. First, we have to set up the trigger, the first of the 2 parts of the flow. To do this, you're going to want to click on the Search Objects text box on the right under Select Object. This is where you'll decide what kind of record will trigger this flow, so either a lead, account, opportunity, or contact. Since I'm working with leads here, I'm going to select lead. Next, you'll select the type of trigger you want for leads. So either when a lead is created, when it's updated, when it's created or updated, or when it's deleted. Now, as I've already mentioned in this video, I want this flow to automatically send a postcard to a lead when I update its status. To achieve this, I then have to configure this trigger to launch when a record is updated. However, because I don't just want to send a postcard anytime a lead record is updated, I have to set what are called the entry conditions for this trigger. To do this, I have to click on the Condition Requirements, select All Conditions Are Met and. The reason why I'm selecting the AND option is that it will ensure that the flow doesn't trigger unless all the conditions are met. Next, I have to actually set the specific conditions. To do this, I first click on the field text box. Then I'm going to scroll down to the status field because remember, I want to send a postcard every time the status field of a lead changes to a particular value. So then I'll leave the operator as equals and click on the value text box. And out of the four, I want to do closed, not converted. The reason why I'm selecting closed, not converted is because when the lead record status changes to that value, I want to automatically follow up with a postcard. So next I have to scroll down slightly and under the when to run the flow for updated records, click only when a record is updated to meet the condition requirements. I'll also leave the flow optimization for actions and related records because we're going to send a postcard, which is an action. And this concludes the configuration of the trigger portion of this flow. Next, we are going to add the flow element. To do this, I'm going to scroll over to the left to the flow diagram and find this little plus button here. When I click on this, I will bring up the list of elements. As I mentioned before, I want to send a postcard, which is an action. So I'm going to click on action, which will bring up this new action box. And this is where you'll find the different actions. And I'm going to click up here on the text box and search for send postcard. As you can see, this brings up the send postcard action, which the subtitle reads Apex PCM and PCM create order list control. When you select this, it'll bring up a details page. So you'll name it first, the label send postcard. That'll autofill the API name as send postcard. Then you'll see this section that says set input values for the selected action. This is where we're actually going to tie the design name to this action as well as the lead and lead ID that the design is meant to be sent to. To do this, I'm going to toggle on include for the design layout name and then type in that design layout name that we remembered from earlier. So mine was flow lead face card. Next, I'm going to do the same thing for the Salesforce object name, and I'm just going to type lead. Then I'm going to toggle to include the Salesforce record ID. Then I'm going to type in record, click on it. Then I'm going to scroll down to ID and select that. So what this all does is tether the design name to the lead and particularly the lead ID of the record that triggered this flow to begin with. That'll make sure that when the postcard gets sent, it gets sent to the record that you've just updated the status of. So after configuring this, I'm going to hit done. And you'll see here that I have now completed the configuration of the flow. And just from reading this diagram, you can see how it works. First, there is the record triggered flow, which starts it. It runs immediately and then sends the postcard and then ends. So to finish this up, I'm going to go to the top right and click save. Then I'm going to name this flow. We'll call it lead postcard flow non-converted. And then we'll hit save. And now that it's saved, we just have to activate it up here on the top right. And now our flow is up and running. And so to test this, I'm going to have you exit the flow builder. You can scroll down a little and see it in the flow list. So here it is, lead postcard flow not converted. It is active. And so we're going to go to the app launcher, click view all, and click on Postcard Mania. You're going to want to navigate to leads. Click on a lead. So I'm going to click on John Doe. In this status bar, I'm just going to click on close not converted. And then on the right, mark as current status. And it's as simple as that. The flow has just sent a postcard to this lead. To verify this, I can navigate to the Orders tab up on the top. And you'll see that top order there, the design layout is flow lead face card. So that's our design. We can scroll to the left and click on the order name to look at the details of the order. And as you can see, all these details look good. It's got our design layout. It's to the right recipient. The address is there. And that is how you set up a flow to send a postcard on a status change in a record. So you could do a similar thing for the accounts or contact or opportunities records. I chose lead here because that was my use case. And as you might have glimpsed from this how-to video, there are so many different options you can choose from. You can be creative on how you want to set up your direct mail campaign and your workflow in Salesforce. And our application allows you to use flows to do just that. This concludes our how-to video on flows. And if you have any further questions, feel free to email support@pcmintegrations.com. But until next time, have a good one.